Welcome back to Beyond the Well, where forgotten histories and untold legends awaken. I never expected to find that well hidden deep in the woods behind my house. But when I touched its sacred water, I saw more than my own reflection. I saw another world. A world shaped by light and shadow, by heroes and tyrants, by choices that still echo through time. Join me as I uncover the stories of Aldarion that lie beyond the well. The Ballad of Nalen, Myrris, Episode 5, The Woman at the Well. The glade was quiet, save for the hush of wind through the ancient trees and the slow gurgle of water from somewhere just beyond the hill. Nalen Myrris stepped lightly, his pack heavy on one shoulder, his lute slung over the other. The vision still pulsed in his mind, clearer than any dream, more vivid than any memory. A cottage, a well, an old woman with eyes that knew him. He came upon it just past midday. The sun filtered through a canopy of golden leaves, dappling the moss-covered stones and the small path that wound towards the crooked wooden gate. Beyond it stood the cottage from his dream, small, weathered, and draped in ivy. Smoke curled from the chimney in a lazy line. It smelled of thyme and cedar. And there she was, standing by the well, humming softly to herself. Her back was stooped, her silver hair tied in a long braid. She wore a simple dress, blue and faded, and her bare feet stood in the grass like roots. She didn't look up until he stepped through the gate. "Ah," she said, as if greeting a bird returning from home. "You made it." Nalen paused. "You were in my vision." "So were you, dear heart. Come in, please." She turned and disappeared into the cottage. Unsure whether to feel alarmed or comforted, Nalen followed her. The interior was warm. Light from the hearth flickered over the stone walls. Herbs hung from the beams, and shelves crowded with books, jars, and oddities lined the space. A table sat near the window, already set for tea. "Sit," she said, gesturing. "You must be tired. The mountains don't part easily." He sat. Who are you?" She poured steaming water into chipped porcelain cups. "My name is Maya, and I am, let us say, a keeper of forgotten things, of broken things, and sometimes of people." "Did Aldarion send you?" She looked up at the name. Her eyes were a startling shade of green. "What do you think, dear?" He didn't answer. She handed him a cup. "You came because the Nexus called you. You obeyed. That is no small thing." They drank in silence. Maya moved slowly, but with certainty, as if every step was placed by design. She studied him like a gardener might a seedling. "You have questions," she said. "Too many." She smiled. "Well, we begin with one. Why did you not return to Lovak to reclaim what was taken?" Nalen stared into his tea. He should have known she would know at least some of his past if she could see into his dreams. "'Cause I saw what it would make me, what I'd become." "And what did you see?" He hesitated. "A man carved by hate. A man who forgot who he was in pursuit of what he lost." Maya nodded. "Good. And what do you desire?" Nalen hesitated, looking down. "Part of me does want retribution, I can't deny that. But how and why? You ask a good question. I worry what I'll become. I worry I'll become that man that was falsely painted for all my kindred and friends. I suppose I want to be me, my best me. I just don't know how." He looked up into her eyes, blinking and face grimacing in a way that held back a flood of emotion that he felt. "That is good. You are ready, my friend." "Ready for what?" She stood and moved to the back door, opening it, Sunlight spilled in. The well. Come. Today I will just show you what it is. Perhaps tomorrow, maybe you might enter its sacred waters, if you choose. Outside the glade seemed to pulse with quiet life. Birds flitted from branch to branch, a breeze stirred in the tall grass, and in the center of all of it stood the old stone well, moss-covered and round, as ancient as anything Nalen could imagine. "Is this where the Nexus speaks?" he asked. "The Nexus can speak anywhere, but here in the well you see more. It will reflect back to you what is inside of you. And if you listen, there is a chance to learn," Maya said. "The well is, in fact, a place where you can reinforce the desires of your heart, which," she added with caution, "can be helpful or it can hurt you. Come closer. Look, don't be afraid. We shan't enter the well today, but I do want you to have a small glimpse." He stepped near the edge and peered down. The water was impossibly still and very deep. He could not see the bottom. It didn't reflect the sky above, but something else entirely. Then the water shifted, and he saw past a reflection. He saw himself, his fears, his failures, his younger self. He saw himself weeping at his mother's grave, his anger in the tavern, the moment he shoved Dareth, the night he wished harm on the Morwins. He recoiled. "No," Maya said gently. "Don't look away. The water does not lie. It only reveals. But I don't want to see this. Then, my dear, you will never change." "Why must I look in the darkness? What is there to benefit from the worst part of my life, of me?" "We grow not because of difficulty, but because we face and overcome difficulty." Her voice was firm, not unkind, but certain, like the wind in the trees, inevitable. He looked again, and as he did, something shifted. The images did not vanish, but softened. He saw himself holding Henrik's hand, playing the song, hugging his mother in the field of silver grass. Then he saw the face of a blue-eyed little girl, sweet and innocent. The child was wrapped in shadow, and he saw himself behind her, bringing light. He looked deeper, past a veil of shadow, far, far deep down beneath, and he saw a boy, and upon him the entire history of Aldarion hinged. As he looked at this boy, he felt a pounding begin in his ears, and felt a hot, oppressive weight push down on him, crushing him to the earth. He felt all the doom, despair, and damnation begin to crush his soul with an unbelievable power. Maya watched in alarm as Nalen began to shake and convulse uncontrollably. She touched him, and the man was thrown backwards and landed with a heavy thud in the grass. She stepped over him, looking into his face, her brows furrowed with concern. She helped him sit up and gave him a drink of cool water. Maya nodded. "You saw him. What the devil was that thing?" he said, panting and looking back at the well. She didn't answer straight away and seemed to be choosing her words very carefully. "The well will always speak truth, Nalen, always. That doesn't mean the truth is easy or fun. In fact, most often it's quite the opposite. But the truth offers us the opportunity to grow, to become something we couldn't otherwise." Who was that boy?" Nalen said, his spine still shivering as he thought back. "I don't know. I have only seen him in the well one other time. I don't believe he has been born, not yet at least. But who he is doesn't matter as much as does who we are in the great plan of our Savior Elion." "Savior? My mom used to call him that, but I don't know why. He doesn't help those who have been wronged, it seems to me. Why didn't he save me and my estate?" Yes, those are good questions that you will have to understand with both your heart and your mind. There is no other way around that." She chuckled. "No, my friend, I cannot presume to say what the great Aldarion will and won't do as to our simple possessions while here upon Aldarion. My belief is there are far more important things to realize. Like what? Nalen, my friend, have you forgotten so soon? Let your heart rest and trust in Aldarion. Fully trust and rest, just like a babe in his mother's arms. And then you will see. Is this what you do? You help people see? The well helps them. I simply invite them to listen. He sat in the grass, dizzy. I thought I was coming here for answers. You came for healing, my heart. Answers are a luxury. Healing is the work. What am I meant to do? Be who you were called to be. It's not necessarily a list of things to do so much as who you are. Look for ways to play, to listen, speak only when you must, and always love fiercely. She stood up with a kind smile. I want you to meet someone. Nalen stood and followed her as she walked towards the edge of the forest. Then he followed her gaze toward the far end of the glade where the trees opened to a sun-warmed clearing. There, sitting on a large flat stone beside a worn sketchbook, was a little girl. Her light golden hair shimmered in the fading light. She was drawing something, head tilted, brow furrowed in focus. A soft melody hummed from her lips, just barely audible, like a memory she couldn't quite name. She's been with me for several months now, Maya said softly. Her name is Seraphina. The girl glanced up, catching sight of Nalen. She offered the smallest of smiles, polite, reserved, but her eyes lingered, curious, wary, but kind. Nalen was dumbstruck. It was the same little girl he had seen in the well. Who is she? Will she stay long? I must say I have a great desire to meet her, Nalen asked. Maya smiled and nodded, then reply came after a pause. That depends. She's healing, or trying to. She's bright and stronger than she knows, but her soul bears a weight she doesn't yet understand. They walked back toward the cottage, and once inside, Maya began preparing a stew, the scent of onions and thyme filling the hearth. Where is she from? Nalen asked, voice low. The Westwood, Maya replied, born of noble blood. But titles mean little when the people meant to protect you fail. Nalen's hand tightened around his teacup. The poor dear, she doesn't remember all of it. Some memories stay buried for a long time. Sometimes the mind protects itself, shields itself the only way it knows how. He looked toward the window. Seraphina was still there, drawing. Maya stirred the pot, then turned. Her eyes, wise and fierce, found his. Her father died a couple years ago, taken by sickness. In the time that passed, she had an uncle who came into her life. On the outside, he helped, offered money and time, resources, but it was a facade for what he really wanted. Her voice dropped low. Nobody suspected. Nobody would have thought, save for her mother, who found out. But once she did, well, Roland was too well embedded, and her poor mother had nobody to fully trust. So she came to me, asked for help, for healing for her daughter. Nalen's stomach began to churn. What did he do? He growled. Oh, my friend, we needn't go into detail. I'm sure you've seen and are familiar with how some would take the most beautiful things in life and turn them to ash and pain, all in the selfish ways lust can pull. The words hit Nalen hard, and he glanced out the window at the sweet, innocent little girl he saw, sitting there still, drawing. She'll need someone gentle, someone who listens, someone who knows what it's like to carry silence. And you have a very special gift. Nalen met her gaze. Then she turned her head towards the lute case sitting by the door. Music is powerful. It can reach areas of our soul in ways otherwise untouchable. You Compare that with your connection to the Nexus. And now her eyes implored him. In a way, the Nexus is music, a fabric of rhythm and wave that washes over and through all time and presence. Nalen was quiet. He reflected back and nodded slowly, thinking about all the times he had had the opportunity to bring music to life. And I dare say it will do more for you, her eyes fixed on him intently, as if she were looking into his bare and naked soul. At first it took him back, but he stood there and allowed it, let her see him through him, unwilling to back away. Interesting. Yes, Nalen, you can see things most others can't. Yes, you are powerful, more so than you realize. She looked him over and reached out and took his hand, looking at it and then up into his eyes. You are Nazer, one who sees. Nalen's mind raced. He hadn't heard that word in many years, since he was a boy going through the school at the Temple of Aldarion, and they had read through the ancient scripts of the past. Ma'ya gave a nod and looked out the window at the little girl. Yes, she'll need you, Nalen, but perhaps in a way you don't see quite yet. The fire popped. Outside, a breeze stirred the trees. Ma'ya walked to him and gently put her hand on his arm. Tomorrow, we will do the work in the well, and you will have a chance to heal more than one broken heart. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for coming with me beyond the well. If you enjoyed this story, please consider liking, following, or subscribing. And if you have a moment, I would love a review. Your feedback truly makes a difference. If you want to dive deeper into the well, visit beyondthewell.net for show notes, transcripts, maps, character descriptions, and much, much more. And until next time, keep seeking, keep dreaming, and keep telling your story.